You're listening to the Monday Night Community Show with Daniel on BRFM.
We're going to be talking to Nancy Jones, and she's going to be telling us all about fixers. So firstly, Nancy, thank you very much for coming along this evening.
No problem.
I was wondering if we could start off by you telling us exactly what is Fixers.
Well, Fixers is an organisation that helps young people tackle a problem that they find dear to them. Basically, they provide a platform and the resources to do so, and as long as it's helping somebody else, they will back them completely, like financially, and they'll just organise things. They're quite friendly with ITV, so basically for once a month Fixers will be able to do a broadcast on ITV, and that would be for about 3 minutes, and that's actually worth quite a bit.
Now, I was wondering if you could perhaps tell us a little bit about yourself now and how you got involved in Fixers for us.
Well, I work for an organisation called 16 Plus. It's a leaving care team, so when children leave local authority care, they go to 16 Plus, and they just kind of help with the transition into adulthood kind of thing. I help with them in stuff like youth groups, and I also teach them independent living skills and that kind of thing. And Esther came to one of our focus groups to ask whether they would be interested in doing a Fixers campaign, and it was actually quite hard to rouse their enthusiasm. So basically she thought, "Ooh, how old are you?" And I was like, "Old enough." So, well, I did one instead.
Now, I understand that you're worried that foster cares are often doing it more for the business and financial rewards.
Yes, basically that's what my campaign is about. It's just to make sure that we employ the right calibre of foster carers and they're not doing it for the wrong reasons. Obviously, I'm very aware that you have to have a financial back in order to be an effective foster carer, but sometimes I find that there's too much emphasis on it in advertisements. I was reading in a newspaper the other day, and it said, it said the monetary value in really big writing, and I think it mentioned the word child about once. So I just need to make sure that they're doing it the right way.
So I'm also aware that it's important to you how foster carers are recruited as well.
Yeah, basically, what I do at the moment, like with who I work with, young people are involved in the recruitment of foster carers, so they actually interview them themselves as well as a professional interview, and from there it's quite easy to screen people, and if we just get a bit of a funny feeling, usually we're right. I say we, I mean, so yeah, basically it's getting there. It just needs to be more supported, so that it can be more kind of young person led.
And that's what you're helping to do as part of Fixers?
Yeah, definitely. And also with who I work with as well. Like, we're very kind of participation based.
Now, I know you were recently, many of our listeners might have even seen you on Meridian News to promote what you're doing.
I was indeed. It was around Valentine's Day, I believe. Basically, it was a 3-minute slot just talking about fostering and my campaign that I should be doing soon, and I was talking about just the introduction to it, why I'm doing it, and what I want to change and what I want to see from the campaign.
So all about trying to get your message over as many ways as you can?
Yeah, basically.
So I was wondering if you could go on to tell us a little bit more about the alternative advertising campaign that you're going to be involved in.
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to make it like a interactive advert. It's going to look a bit like a house, and it's going to have like a few windows, and then we're going to use young people's stories, a few positive and a few negative, just to kind of make a better idea of what fostering's like. I think we're going to have a son or daughter of a foster carer, like a birth son or daughter of a foster carer, and they'll say something along the lines of, "Oh, now I have a new brother or sister to play with," or something like that, and then they'll have a negative and positive story from an actual foster child, and from that then they'll kind of say the skills that's needed, and that's why they had such good experience. And then we're going to have actual foster carers as well, And their story won't be negative or positive. It will basically be, this is what it's like. There are some hard points, but like, the gratification you get afterwards just makes the job all worthwhile, that kind of thing. And I think by using all these people's stories, like all in this one place, it would just paint a better picture about what fostering's actually for, and what it's all about, and kind of what we need from young people, not young people, foster carers, when advertising. And hopefully that will attract nicer people.
And I think the next thing I was going to ask you, Nancy, is what skills do you think somebody might need to be a good foster carer?
Well, there's a massive list, of course, but I think one of the main things that people seem to have a problem with is stickability. So basically, when supporting a person that's been supported all their lives by the local authority, or whether they've just come into care, they're going to have a certain amount of behaviour issues, or a problem with fitting in and trusting who they're living with and stuff. And I think a lot of people can be perhaps a bit nervous by someone's behaviour, because at first it may be bad. You never know, though. I think another thing is a strive for the young person to do well. A lot of people, when it's their own kids, if they refuse to go to school or something, they'll completely put their everything in and have a massive argument, and they will eventually get them to school because they want them to do best. But with people who are supported, sometimes because they think, well, I can't be bothered for the argument, a lot of the time they just think, well, for an easy day, fine, don't go to school, it's not my problem. And because of that, they're easily swayed. I think a lot of the thing is just having a lot of empathy, not trying to say I understand or anything, because not a lot of people will, but just trying to understand and, know that their behaviour is not going to be perfect. Not that all of them are badly behaved, but, need to...
So it's sort of continuity and stability as well.
Yeah, definitely. Don't do it in a kind of cold, business-like manner. I'm not saying be really affectionate. A lot of people, they're quite intimidated by affection, but just don't be cold. Sometimes it does come across that way.
So are you working with foster carers to help them improve the way they work?
We do kind of one-off events here and there. There's something called Skills to Foster, and foster carers asked to come along to that. I think they're people who are in the process of being okay to be a foster carer, and that's where their youth panel interview will come from. So young people who've been supported by the local authority will interview the foster carers, and then at the end they'll kind of come through and they'll do a bit of a talk. There won't be any structure to it, literally questions can be bounced back and forth and stuff, but that's kind of what we do at the moment. I do think there's room for a lot more training using people that have been supported by the authority, though.
I think one of the things we haven't covered is how it's relevant to you, Nancy.
Well, the reason that Fixers is relevant to me is because I grew up in care myself. Since I was about 18 months old, I've been supported by the local authority. When I turned 16, I then moved to a leaving care team called 16 Plus Catch 22. Since then, when I was 19, I was offered an apprenticeship to work with them, and I did that for a year, and from then I was then employed by them. And since being employed by them, I've been helping kind of people that have been supported by them to do independent living skills and kind of prepare themselves for independent living. Like I said, Fixers actually came to me to talk to one of my youth groups about it, and that's how I got involved in Fixers. But I've always been kind of working with that background, and it's very kind of close to me.
So how do Fixers help to support you then?
Well, basically, because I feel so strongly about everything to do with kind of foster care and making it better and that kind of thing, I think they help focus me. Basically, at first it became this massive discussion, and then afterwards it just took someone to say, oh, so basically you want this changed, for me to be like, oh yeah, actually that is the one thing that I need changed, that would kind of have quite a nice knock-on effect and then change everything else, if you know what I mean. So they were just good at getting me focused and getting something solid from my imagination, because I didn't really know how to go about doing so.
And I was wondering, what do you hope the outcome will be to this project?
Well, basically, it's turned into quite a few little spin-offs, like, you know, the newspaper and the radio and telly, and it's just been kind of raising awareness about kind of fostering and the things, the skills and values you need to be a good foster carer. I also hope that it might help people empathise with young people who've been supported, and I quite like the idea of people who have thought they could never do fostering to actually turn around and be like, well, actually, I might be able to, because people think that, you know, it's this massive thing, but in the end, anyone, if their heart's in the right place, can do so. So I'd quite like to kind of, you know, start off having loads of people deciding whether or not they'd like to do that kind of thing. I also hope that by actually doing the end product, this advert, it will, this sounds really strange, it will warn off some that might not have the stickability kind of thing, because although it is a very positive campaign, on there I think I will have some foster carers talking about how it's not all, you know, it's not all sunshine, and there are downsides to it as well as good sides, and hopefully by that will also kind of sieve out the people who would not have as much tolerance as most.
Well, I'd like to thank you, Nancy, very much for coming along and telling us all about what you're doing and how you're working with Fixers. But before you go, I was just wondering, what is that website where our listeners could find out more about Fixers and what happens and what you're doing?
Okay. Well, the website is www.fixers.org.uk, and on there there's not only my campaign, but there's actually campaigns of everyone else. It's not all foster care based. There's loads of things. There's like stuff like love music, hate racism, and there's like loads of really lovely campaigns like raising awareness about different issues that people face nowadays, and it paints young people in a really nice light. It's kind of like in the media you see young like what young person has stabbed, you know, it's really negative, but then you go to Fixers and you see the stuff that they put out on ITV News about what young people are actually doing that's really lovely for the community. And it's just a really good website, really lovely, vibrant, some amazing videos, and also like some media pieces, like so funny adverts and stuff like that. It's a really good website.
Well, Nancy, once again, thank you very much for coming along and telling us all about Fixers.
It's been a pleasure.